Hello. Welcome. My name is Elizabeth Pampalone, and you are watching the Friday Fix.
Hi.
And this is Joseph, because he's not saying his own name.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Joseph because I wasn't saying my own name.
So we are here to offer some tips and insight into business today. And we are not going to be here next week. We have some remodeling that's going to be done. And so we will not be on next week, but we will come back the following week with our special surprise. We're going to be on the road, so it'll be exciting. So what do you have today that you would like to discuss? Because I have my mastermind little tidbit I'm going to give. What do you have?
What do I have? Let me see.
Should I go first?
Prepared or no?
Yeah.
You're fine. I'm just messing. It's a Friday Fix. I mean, if I didn't act a little bit goofy or make a few jokes, then it wouldn't be a fix, right? You got to have the good stuff too. So.
Okay. Obi-Wan's finally settled.
So we had a good time doing the editing. We had several people come and ask us for that. We returned those and we are
your free editing
excited
you
about
offered last
free
week.
editing.
Yeah.
So that went well, and the people who did it enjoyed it and benefited from it. And so hopefully they'll be on the track and know what they need to know. We are ramping up. I'm going to be launching a podcast shortly. So hopefully I'll find my perfect broadcast voice. I've been practicing, but I won't show you because, if it's not right, don't do it. I think that's about it. I mean, everything has been pretty good on my end. I've been enjoying the people that I've been working with, and I've been enjoying meeting some new people and, teaching some things about writing, giving away some tips to help people just to get started. Nothing like too advanced, but a lot of times people don't understand that getting started is more than half the battle. It's like a journey. You take the first step and you've begun the journey. So a lot of times people don't write their books because they don't start their books, or, I got a page in and then I left it and never went back to it. So getting started and having a good idea on how to do that is beneficial and will help you in the long run. And it will also make sure that what you put out is, good productive work.
I also was talking to someone this morning on a podcast, actually, and a lot of people, sometimes they don't think they have a story to tell, or their story is like, well, everybody says that, or everybody talks about marketing, or everybody does this or that. And so they don't actually put their own story out there because they don't think that it's anything special. Like, it's just whatever. And I actually think that's not true, because a couple of years ago, I heard someone say that you're the expert of your own story. And it's so true, because no one else can tell your story. No one else knows it well enough. Just you. You're the only one who can do it. And if even one person can be inspired, given hope, get them through a difficult time, or maybe just tell them, oh my gosh, like this person did this thing, I can do it too, give them some kind of inspiration. I think that that's really worth it. And whether you're writing a book, or you're starting a business, or you're writing posts on social media, whatever it is you're trying to do, that you have a story to tell, and it's important, and people do need to hear it. And there are people out there who are looking for your story. And if you never tell it, then they're going to actually be kind of in the dark, and because they're not going to find the thing that they're looking for, which is your story. And I can say that when I was going through my divorce several years ago, and I read a book by Kristen Armstrong, and it basically got me through the first 6 months of that time, because nobody else could help me. I couldn't get any, I read all the books, I did all the things, right? Everybody was trying to help me and trying to give me encouragement. But this was the only book that made the most sense to me, where I was like, yes, this is the story I needed to hear, which was her story about her divorce from Lance Armstrong and about everything she went through. And if she hadn't written that book, I might not have been able to be helped the way that she helped me. So, that's definitely something I encourage people to do, is, write their story. And because they're the only expert that can tell it. Nobody else can do that. So,
and let me interject something there. Even if you think that the story that you have is everyone's talked about that, no, they haven't, because you haven't talked about it. Some people, everyone's perspective on that problem is unique. There's not somebody that, unless you're just going to like write some, it sounds like a 40-year politician, we're going to come together and we're going to help each other and everything's going to be great and you'll get through it just fine. There's always a difference in what you do. Some people deal with bad things in a humorous way. They tell jokes. It's something like maybe it's a nervous reaction, or maybe it's just their way of coping and getting through. Some people tend to be serious. Some people rely on their religious faith, their faith in the Lord. There's a number of different ways. And so there are people out there that are in the same kind of position as you in terms of how they react and deal with things. And so you telling that is going to reach those people.
And it's not always bad things either. It
No,
could be
it's
like
not.
Business. It could be anything.
Right.
It could be anything that you've been through.
And even if it's like a happy thing, like I made $1 million in 5 months and it was
that
great.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, everybody wants that, right?
Yeah.
But it's boring if you're like, well, I'm so great, and then I did this because I'm a genius, and I made $1 million in 5 months.
Yeah.
Who wants to read that? You're just bragging and being a jerk. But if you're telling about how, hey, I came into this and I wanted to try a new type of negotiating technique or something like that, and it really worked. I was able to make a deal that was beneficial to everybody. Everybody got something out of it, and I was able to do this thing, and it was a great thing, and I made $1 million. Cool. That's confidence. If you come in and, like I said, some people like to joke. I do on occasion. Or they have, the guys with the one-liners. One of my favorite lines from one of the Iron Man movies was the title of his autobiography would be a cheap trick and a one-liner. Some people are like that, and some people like to read that because it's hilarious. Sometimes you just read things for entertainment value, and then they learn something by accident. Sometimes they're entertained while they're reading something. So your perspective and how you deal with things can reach different people, or the people that are like the same type of thinking as you, like in terms of how they relate to the world. And so there's always somebody out there that will benefit from your wisdom and what you've done. Don't be afraid of that. And don't be afraid to, speak about, I was successful in doing this. It's not bragging if you've done it. If you're just going to be like, I'm so awesome, everything is me, and I did this because I'm the greatest, that's bragging. But if you're like, hey, I did this, I want to share with you how I did it, and if it'll help you, go right ahead. That's actually called being cool. So. And
I think too, like I could tell you the same story and tell my sister Emily the same story. And she will, no, it does, because she will laugh and she'll be like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, you're so amazing. She's just the way she's
hilarious.
She's hilarious. And I can tell him the same story and he's like, oh, babe. Like, it's like, I think it's hilarious and I'm trying to make it a funny story. And she's over there cracking up and, whooping and hollering. And he's just like,
it's actually because you're not wearing fake bushy eyebrows, a giant mustache, and glasses, holding a cigar going, I told you that.
Yeah. But like, it's a thing. It's like, it's for a certain audience. Right. And I could tell my brother the same thing and he would just be like, right. And it would totally be a totally different story to him because he's not viewing it the same way. So, if you have the right audience and you want to make your audience laugh and be, uproariously hilarious and all this stuff, then you have to know who that audience is. And that kind of segues into, well, not really. I was gonna say it's gonna segue into our topic for today, but not really. But you do have to know the audiences. We're doing it anyway. You do have to know the audiences. And this week on the mastermind, which is what I was trying to remember, we did the peer review of the audits of the websites. This is so awesome because actually it kind of does segue, because if Emily looked at my sister Emily, if she looked at my website, she'd be like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, you're so pretty in that dress. And she'd just kind of go on about how pretty it is and all this stuff because that's what she's looking at.
And the outfits.
Right. If he looked at it, he might say, oh, you have a typo. Oh, you're missing a comma or something like that. He might be looking for something totally different, right?
This doesn't read right.
Yeah.
This reads great. I love it. I'm going to steal it.
Right. So
I mean, borrow it without returning it. Yeah, that's what I meant.
So that kind of thing is like two different people looking at it differently. And so when you're building your site, you have to still know your audience. And we do the peer reviews. We do that because most of the time, the person you have review your site, they shouldn't really have seen it. They really don't know what it's about. And you can actually get them to view it in such a way and give you the feedback that you need that says, as if a person was viewing it that you don't know, that's out there, that's looking at your website. So this is called a usability test. And usability tests are so important. And I love doing them. And my favorite part is doing them in a class because I've never seen these people's websites usually before. I don't do a lot of research on that ahead of time. And I'll pull up their website and I'll say, okay, you, the owner, you're the website builder. You tell me one thing I'm supposed to do on this website. And then I make the owner sit on their hands. They cannot talk. They cannot grunt. They cannot point with their head. They cannot point with their hands. They can't do anything. And they have to sit there and watch as me and the rest of the audience navigate through this website and try and do the one thing they want us to do. And a couple of months ago, right at I guess it was like June or something, I did a class that was postponed over and over.
Yep.
And I did a class and it was in person. So I got to actually be in person with people. Everybody was all spread out. It was crazy. And I did a usability test. we were doing that. I did a usability test and I asked the guy, who thinks I asked everybody, who thinks their website is great? Like, who thinks they're like, I got this, don't worry about it. And this guy was like, me. He was super confident. I loved that. And he's like, me, my website's amazing. And I was like, okay, great. Then let's look at it. And he was like, oh no. And so I asked him one thing we should do on his website. And he told me two things, but I went with it because I wasn't going to be picky. And he goes, you should go to my gallery and then you should book a call with me because that's what I've been trying to get people to do. And I'm just not getting that from my website. I said, okay. So I said, you can't do anything. Sit on your hands. Shush. He's like, fine. So he's sitting there. He's acting all like, this is going to be so easy, whatever. And I open up the website. Everybody's like, oh, and I said, okay, everybody, we're going to go through this together. He's not in the room. We're pretending he's not even here. We're the consumer. And these were a group of his peers. Okay. These are people in his industry. And I'm navigating and they're all trying to help me. Oh, should we click on that? Oh, maybe we should click over here. And we go through the site. There's nothing that says gallery. There's no portfolio. There is a thing that says photos. So we click on it because we're like, well, gallery, photos. Okay, I want to see what he did. There was like 3 photos in it. And then there was no call to action on the page with the photos. They were clunky to navigate. And I kept going back to the home page and I still didn't see a call to action. And I kept going back to another page, no call to action that told me, book a call. I finally like, you know what? I think I want to contact this guy after having a horrible website experience to begin with. And he's sitting there just like, oh my gosh. And he's just shaking his head. And I'm like, nope, no moving. Shush, stop. And he's like, and I get to the contact page and it's a contact form and I fill it in. And I said, I really would like to book a call with you in the text. And I said, I can't, for some reason, I may be dumb, but I can't find it on your website. And I'm typing this and I'm saying it out loud as if I'm the consumer that's doing this on my own in my house, right? And he's just sitting there like he's just embarrassed. And I wasn't trying to embarrass him, but he was just like, I can't believe my website is like this. And I finish it and I send it to him and I was like, check your phone. And he's like sitting there and he's just like, I got nothing. He didn't even get the email. And so he was like, okay. And I was like, you're done. He's like, okay, can I talk now? I was like, yes, you can talk. And he's like, he just got a notepad and a pen. And all that time up to that point in the class, he was kind of like, oh, I've heard all this before. I don't need to do that. Like he was kind of, not paying attention. And then he gets out a pen and he's like, okay, so what do I do? How do I fix this? And it was so cool to see that when you do these peer reviews, when you do these usability tests and you give someone your website and you're like, if anybody comes to my website, if this person comes to my website, my ideal client, I want them to do one thing. And he gave me 2, and we did them because most people aren't going to know they should look at the gallery first and then book a call, right? They're just going to meander their own way around and then do the thing that, hopefully that you want them to do. And so, people say, oh, I want them to sign up for my email list. I want them to buy a product. I want them to, whatever. And so whatever that one thing is, that end goal of your website, if it's book a call, then you need to have a guided way for them to do that. You can't just assume that they're just going to go, oh, this guy looks good, click, done, and then that's it. They're going to navigate around. They're going to look at your bio. They might land at the end on your bio. Then what? Maybe there's no button at the bottom that says call to action. You should call us. I'd love to talk to you. And
that's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
For what I want to say.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
One of the other reasons why I like those kind of things when you do on people's website is not for the usability, but actually for your call to actions, your copy, as it were. I'm going to insert shameless plug here. I do copywriting, not copywriting as in I give you a patent, but writing copy for websites. There's been a lot of confusion about that lately. I was at a networking meeting yesterday, and somebody thought that I was going to, that I was a lawyer and I was going to give him patents on his security stuff. And I was like, no, I'll write copy for your website so that you can sell more security systems.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people have copy on their website that's just, if you know what I mean.
It's a lot.
You don't know. One of the worst things that you could ever do to yourself as a business owner is if you have copy on your website where people don't know what it is that you do.
Yep.
If people can't go right on there and within 3 sentences, maximum 3 sentences, if they can't figure out what you do, you're doing it wrong. They should be able to immediately know what you do. And then from there, all of the content should be to engage them.
Mm-hmm.
And to draw them in, to engage them so that they're, oh, I do need this. I'm excited. Let me know more. Then they can go look about you or anything else. But the main goal of it is, if you're selling product on your website, is to drive the customer over to your products. So you want to tell them what your product is, why they need your product,
mm-hmm.
why your product is a good choice and an affordable, reasonable choice, and it will serve them well and last, and then have them go to the product and go, you know what? I like it. I'm going to buy it. That's what engagement is. When people have that, it's very simple and elegant. Apple, again, don't always agree with everything that they do, but I love their products and I love the copy that they have on their website because it really engages people and creates like an Apple culture.
It connects people.
Exactly.
They feel something when they read it. They feel something when
Right.
they see the images or the website. They feel like they're connected. Like they're not just, Apple's not selling a million phones. Apple's selling you a phone.
Right.
You're
not just, one of our numbers in the masses of people who buy our product. You're an individual. You're unique.
That's what I feel like when we go to T-Mobile. Like they're just like, your number.
They're nice.
Yeah.
Free plug for T-Mobile, I guess.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like because they like when we were with AT&T, they were kind of they were just like take a number, like just kind of, and we feel that way with Comcast. It's like when I go in there to do anything, they're like take a number or like whatever.
Right.
And when you go into T-Mobile, they're like, hey, like we're gonna, I don't know, they just feel like you're the only customer they have, even though they're like, okay, bear with you just a minute, whatever.
And that's the way you want your copy to be on the website. We're talking to you,
mm-hmm.
not you and 15 million other people,
right?
But you individually.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to tell you what it is that we do, why you should buy from us, and hopefully get you to either talk more about it. So like if you're a service business, obviously the whole goal is to drive them to book a call or contact you so that you can discuss more about what you can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, if you're not doing anything for your client, you shouldn't be in business. The whole point of business is you both get something out of it. That's the
mm-hmm.
whole point of capitalism and the system that we have, is both parties benefit. And so you want to make sure that that's understood in your copy. And then also that it's very clear the benefit that your customers will receive from you. And that's also part of engagement, so that they go, okay, they understand, they know what it is that we're looking for. They know that We're not looking to get ripped off or taken advantage of. They are acknowledging that. They're acknowledging that they're here to provide a good service or product to us, and let's check it out. And then that's the whole point of it. So doing those website tests also should give you the whole idea of not just how usable the website is, which is completely critical, but also how good is your copy, is your brand, so that it's easily relatable to people. They understand what it is that you do, and it engages them so that they want to use you.
Yeah, and that does go into that guidance part of the usability test. Having people review your site, is that if you are not there to guide them, if you're not there to tell them what that one thing is that they should do, they should be able to figure that out on their own. And the copy, should guide them to that. You can't just guide someone with images. You've probably done those Pictionary type things before, where you put all the images together and it makes a word, and those are hard. And if people aren't visual, then they struggle with those. And so you want to make sure that you're putting out the information in a way that is not only visual, but also with copy to make that guidance, to help kind of use that as a funnel. I'm sure if you've ever been in like a store, and you walk in and you're like, I'm looking for something. I'm looking for one thing, right? And if they have signs hanging from the ceiling and on the end caps of the, rows and the aisles, you can kind of find your way, right? But if you look in the normal places, which you expect things to be, let's say you were looking for a phone number and you look on the contact page and there it is, normal. If you look on the contact page and there's no phone number, now what? Okay, maybe it's in the footer. So then you look in the footer. It's not in the footer either. So if you're looking for something and you don't find it in the normal places, you're going to be frustrated. And then if you're in a store and you don't find something in a normal place, like the garden center is usually on the end, right? The pharmacy is usually at the back, things like that, right? That makes sense. And so if you go to these normal places in a store, you just flag somebody down and say, hey, where is the garden center? I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And then they'll tell you, oh yeah, we have that here and here. But on a website, you don't have that. And some people have those chats on their sites and all that stuff, but that's not usually a real person. It's usually a bot. And if it is a real person, then you got to pay somebody as an owner, website owner, to do that, right? Or it's you, and you got to be on there all the time. So it's better to have your website laid out so that people can find things easily. It makes sense to them. It's unique, but it's familiar. It's not totally off the rails and people are just like, I couldn't find anything. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. And that has to do with copy and with visuals and with layout, just laying it out correctly.
And use the example of Steve Jobs. When the iPhone came out, and the Macs, part of the whole revolutionary concept of them was that it was intuitive. That's the way that your website should be. Steve Jobs was merciless in that. If something could take 2 steps, it had better take 2 steps. He was merciless about that. If something could be done in 3, he did not want it done in 5. That was not going to happen. He was merciless about that. He was very hardcore about it. But it's a good principle, and it's why they ended up becoming such a giant competitor for Windows. Because in Windows, something that could take 3 steps is going to take 5 or 6. But on a Mac, it'll take 3. And that's because that's the kind of culture that he left when he was there, when he was running it, and now that after he's passed. Those people that he kind of brought up and instilled in that in them, they're the ones that are doing that. And that's the same way it should be with your website and with your business, your products and everything else. If it can be done in 3 steps, it better be done in 3 steps. If you can even condense it so that it can be done in 2, fantastic for you. Do it. And when somebody comes to your website and they need to look around, or like Elizabeth said with the example of a store, if something is laid out in a specific way so that and you could just walk into the store blindfolded and walk right over to the department that you need, that's the goal. Because you're going to pass other things along the way. Like in the pharmacy, when in the back of the store, you have to pass the entire store. So there's lots of opportunity for people to shop. Exactly.
But they don't need all the other stuff.
Right, but they're going to pass it in, so they're going to impulse buy, or they're going to be like, you know what, I'm out of this, so let me grab that. So they've gotten stuff on their way back to the pharmacy that they forgot they needed, or that they thought, oh, hey, you know what, I want to try that, whatever. And so it's a secondary benefit for you as the store owner to have that, and you should have that on your website too. Everything should be right where it should be, right where it needs to be, rather. And it should be very easy to access and intuitive, to the point where they're like, if I click this button right here, I should be able to do X. You know, make a call, go to the email to contact you, go to the about page, whatever. I know that that's usually labeled, but sometimes when you click on the about page, then it's like you have a bunch of different pages. It's the about us, about the individual people, and blah, blah, blah. So you want to make sure that everything is done in such a way that it's easy to navigate, easy to use, easy to read and understand.
Yep. And the goal with the usability testing for sure is to say, when someone is done navigating your site, that was easy. Like they know that it was easy because they understood it. I understood everything on your site, or it makes so much sense to me. And if they're your target market, and that's even better, because you want anybody to be able to use your site and have it make sense. But if they're your target market and they're in that demographic, then that's even better, because now they've actually told you that it makes sense to them, that it connected with them, that they liked X, Y, and Z part or whatever. And so when you are doing this usability test, you don't have to pick someone that knows, that is your target market. But if you have someone that's in your target market, that's even better. I also call it the mom test, because I've had my mom do it a lot. And she's pretty tech savvy for my mom, but she also she's not necessarily my target market. So I like to practice it on her and people like her, because I want it to even be so simple that not only does it make sense for my target market, but that anybody outside of that can also just go, oh, duh, easy. And they get it. And then that helps also with referrals. So if someone goes to your website and they're just looking to help you with referrals, or they're looking to send their clients to your site for, help or whatever. So I work with Joe, and he's an editor, but they might need marketing help. I want him to be able to send people to my site and have them go, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And they're my target market, but not him, right? But he needs to know that my site is good enough that he can send people there, and he doesn't have to explain it, walk them through it. He can literally just send them there and say, yeah, this is what you need. And that they can actually understand that and connect with it. So yeah, so this has been a pretty long episode for us. We're not normally this chatty, but I guess.
But since we're not going to be here next week,
I know
we give you a double dose.
That's right. We gave you a little extra this week. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments about this, we'd love to see them. Sometimes they show up in our chat here, sometimes they don't. So we apologize, but we will be checking on all of our systems to connect with you guys. And I'm going to put in here Joseph's website in the chat, if I can spell it right. And then I'm also going to put in the chat my community. So if you guys would like to join my free community, it's going to be free until the end of the year, and then we're changing it up. So join now and grandfather yourself in. So I'm going to put that in here really quick. And yeah, if you join now, you'll be in always. So yeah, join us.
It's actually a good community, and I'm not just saying that because we're married. I appreciate good things, and there's a lot of good information in there, and it's very beneficial and helpful. So before it actually goes and becomes a paid thing, it would behoove you to sign up and check it out, at least to get in there, and then you'll be in.
Yep. So thank you so much for watching today, and we hope that you'll join us in 2 weeks when we'll be back and we'll be on the road. So yeah, join us for that. And if you have any questions in the meantime, send them to us in a message or through our websites, or even here in a comment, and we will try and address them next time. See you guys later.
Bye.